Hello, everyone, and welcome to Canadians with Disabilities and their Allies. My name is Brent Frain. I'm the host for the show, and thanks for tuning in today. Anyone watching us live on YouTube, hello. And if you're watching later on, or not watching, listening, because you can't listen to a podcast. If you're listening later on, anywhere in the world, I hope you enjoy the show. Today's show, we were supposed to be having Lethabo Segudla on. Unfortunately, there's been a little delay in having him joining us on the show today. He's actually from South Africa, so I'm not sure what has happened. So I'm hoping that Lethabo will be able to join us today. In the meantime, the show must go on.
We can just play elevator music while we're waiting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and if for some reason Lethabo is not able to make it on, we'll get Lethabo rescheduled in. But there's so many pressing issues, Neil, that definitely need to be talked about that are going on across our beautiful country of Canada here. So people that are listening around the world, we're going to dive into a lot of things that are happening. Both for Canadians with disabilities, and their allies that are, within Canada and around the world that support people with disabilities. Either through lived experience or they have family members or friends, relatives, you name it. And I welcome anyone to come and join us on the show. I've done postings onto social media, onto Twitter, and if for some reason that people don't see that, reach out to your YouTube channel, Neil Matheson. Just look Neil Matheson up on YouTube and subscribe.
Like, share, subscribe.
Click. Yes, exactly.
You have to like us. Everybody has to like us. Come on.
And then you'll catch up on all the shows that we've done. I mean, there's our main shows that we do, having guests on with lived experience and as allies, bringing our lived experience forward to wherever it's going to make change, to make things better for people's lives and their well-being. And also, I have the Breaking with Brent segments. I love doing those Breaking with Brent segments. They're a little bit more serious of current events that are happening, either politically, or I talk about food banks, or grocery shopping, about the high cost of food. And we're going to dive into some of that on the show today, too. We'll be talking about the high cost of food.
And then your more relaxed episodes now, the coffee time are nice, too.
The coffee time, the brand new segment.
Kind of like the Brent as tourist vibe.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just more just a relaxed atmosphere one for the coffee time with Brent. So, it's... this one here is the cactus cup here, a mug. So, it's... and this is, freshly squeezed coffee beans right in here. Yeah. Brewed it fresh this morning.
Yeah.
So, Neil, so basically what comes down to today is the latest news was C-22, that people call it the controversial Bill C-22, that it's just been kind of hanging in the ballots for, my gosh, almost feels like it's over.
Talk about our guest. Here he comes.
Oh.
We'll see. I'll park him. Let's see if I can park him down at the bottom here. 1 second. I'm just going to flip some screens around here.
Sure. Well, and while I wait for him to come on, it's for those that are wondering what's going on with Bill C-22. Right now, we're still waiting for it to get royal assent through the House of Commons, so it can boost everybody.
Evening. Sorry.
Hello.
Sorry to my apologies, guys, for being late because I was on a job interview, so with UBC Radio. So
do you know if you were successful or not yet?
They say they will hear from they say they will tell me, but so I've already got the slot, so it's from Monday afternoon, I think from 4 until 6. So I couldn't do the thing what you call the 3 hours, because like for me the 3 hours it's going to be a bit cumbersome because I have to help people. I mean, my little sister with homework and all that stuff, you know. So yeah, so they also told me that they will be placing me on 3-month probation.
Oh,
okay. Yeah, that's what they told me. Yeah.
Okay. Well, well, welcome. You're fashionably late, which is kind of cool.
Yep. Yeah.
You're the first guest. You're the first guest to do that. So.
Welcome, Lethabo.
I know, but you know, it's something that like it was unforeseen, because I mean it was something that I couldn't manage. So I remember, I think I sent a message to Neil, a DM on Twitter.
Yeah.
Saying that I'll be late because the meeting, actually the interview was supposed to start at 5 my time, but it started minutes later.
Yeah.
So these things happen.
It's all good. Yeah.
So everyone tuning in today, I have Lethabo Segudla from South Africa joining us, and
he's here for part 2. We should say. So,
yes.
So if you missed the part 1, anybody that missed part 1 can go back in our playlist and listen to the part 1 after this one.
Yeah, and part 2 is even better because we get to continue on where we left off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how are you doing, Lethabo?
I'm good. You know, my day was being hectic because I was so nervous about this interview, but I got it done with. So I'm just left with this one.
Well,
that's awesome.
You know, and Brent is so intimidating too. So.
Gosh.
We can structure this like an interview. We can say, so Lethabo, tell us why you really want to come on the show.
Yeah.
Why do you think you'll be a good guest on the show, Lethabo?
Yeah, tell us. Tell the viewers and the listeners why should Lethabo come on to the show today?
Okay. Part 2. Okay. I don't want to be like professional as I did.
Yeah, it's all about lived experience. Yeah.
Like it took the whole thing. Like it took the whole mind out of me. Like I had to speak my mind out.
Yeah.
Just to be precise with you guys, you know, to be a guest on this particular show. I mean, this show though, I can say it's much informative, educational. I mean, so motivating as well. You know, I've been watching a lot of this. I can say a lot of content from this YouTube channel, Neil Matheson on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I've watched quite a lot of I think the reviews from Neil and his son.
Oh, so, the food reviews and stuff. Yeah, those are fun.
Yeah, and the other one where you guys were playing FIFA. I think it was.
Oh yeah, Daddy Versus. Yeah, those are fun too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, we have to do another one.
I still revert back to that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember. And I still remember. I watched as well as Brent's blog posts or blog videos. I think the other one, the last one that he did, I think he was in Vancouver, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
The tourist, yes.
Yeah. Where I think you were going on a train, right?
I was going on
Skytrain was part
a
of
mini.
it.
Yeah. So yeah, because that was the last one I remember watching from your side. And there was this other one where you were talking about I think transit system in
Yeah.
Canada. Because
Yeah.
I remember you were saying that there are other buses, they don't cater for other sections of the place that you were in. I can't remember which place was it, but where you were standing, like there were like buses like
Just sitting there, yeah.
going across.
Yeah, I was
Yeah,
sitting
going
there
like
on
across.
the other side of the intersection that you can't get over from here or
Yeah, on the
there.
intersection. Yeah.
The point of no return.
And they're still on strike.
Yeah, it's just that the name I can't remember correctly. That's why I remember Vancouver.
TransLink and BC Transit.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only place that I know from Canada. That's one thing I can tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, and then there was another segment too. I did too. There was a bunch of planes flying overhead, and I was talking about my
home. And there's the other one. I was like, coffee something.
Coffee time.
Coffee time.
Coffee time. Yeah. I also watched that one.
That's the new one. That's the new one. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the new one. Yeah, I remember I was watching. I think 2 episodes. The last one. I think
there's 3 now. There's 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. We kind of packed. We kind of packed in. We kind of packed in the save on foods. 1 second.
Yeah.
1 second. How do I mute myself here?
Yeah, but we definitely we packed in a lot of stuff into those episodes, and which is
back.
Which is good.
What I was gonna ask actually, talking about employment, I think I've asked you this before, Lethabo, but do you disclose or do you not disclose on your job interviews? And when do you just disclose? Do you just disclose on your resume or do you disclose in person? You know what I mean by disclosure?
No, I disclose on my resume, but when it comes to interviews, I don't.
You don't disclose on.
No, especially when it comes to radio. When it comes to radio stuff, like especially with this one that I was doing right now,
so
I didn't disclose anything.
Was it face to face or just over the phone? Yeah. It was face to face.
This one was virtually.
Oh, it
was virtually. It was not face to face.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
It was virtually. We were using Zoom.
Yeah. Because that's always an interesting question. I mean, I used to disclose all the time, on my resume, and then I thought, you know what? I'm not going to disclose on my resume anymore because it's just another way of people filtering me out before they even know me. So then I made a practice of not disclosing on the resume, and then disclosing fully on a personal interview, like face to face, because then you're in front of the employer, and then you can properly defend yourself, right? Like, have a proper conversation,
right? They have to take people for who they are. I mean, not grade them on because of this situation or whatever. It's like they like who you are, and I don't think anyone should really have to really explain on a resume or an application of saying I'm a person with disability. Okay, well, so I mean you're just who you are. So if they're going to take you for who you are, then that's who you are. I mean, you can't change the fact. And that's the thing is in some people call it discrimination, right? Total.
Yeah.
Yeah, true. But the thing is, here in South Africa, though, the one thing that they do is that, what I can say is they just want you to disclose everything. Like when it comes to like job employment, they want you to what do you call this? They want you to how can I put this? Like they want you to tell them or maybe just give them the what do you call this? Like your doctor's letter, just for them to know like how this person is and all that stuff. Even on your resume, you have to disclose what is your disability, and sometimes also on forms they do that as well.
Mm-hmm. we've talked about Brent and I have talked about when you disclose on the form every month. It's like, when's the last time you were in jail? You know, to get your monthly support check. It's like,
when were you last incarcerated? Have you been incarcerated?
So every month you have to fill in that. Say, no, this month I wasn't in jail.
No, I just feel secluded within my community. I feel like let me out, please.
Yeah.
Well,
crazy.
It's the same as here, because when you apply for like for me, that's the best part. Because I apply for I apply for I apply for the support social support grant, right? Like every time when I go there, it's like frustrating. It's frustrating because like always they want you to fill in the same information that you give them. Like they want you to fill in the same thing, and I'm like
over and over again.
Yeah, because even
and it expects the same results.
and for me, the worst part, and which is I'm a victim also when it comes to that, because every time when I have to go to the doctor, they check my eyes. They check.
Are you still blind? There's
anything changed.
There's one. Yeah, there's people that are amputees, and they're like, do you still not have a leg? Like stuff like I mean, why would you need to do that like constantly? Like, I still don't have a leg, or I still don't have an arm, or whatever. It's like, it's stupid.
I remember one time going to a specialist, and it was a referral from a doctor because the government actually had at one time, and I'm not picking on any specific government administration, right? But there was one administration who wanted disabled people to be reassessed to see if you're
that was disabled. A gong show, complete gong show.
To see if you're still disabled. So my family doctor, he lost it. He says, Brent, I have to refer you to a specialist. I go, why? Because that's part of the criteria. So I go to the specialist, and so how can I help you? I go, I don't know why I'm even here. Well, your family doctor referred you, so I need to know if are you still disabled, Brent? I go, well, I'm healed. I'm healed. It's gone away. I said, amazingly. Like perfect 20/20 vision, disabilities, and he says, well, what happened? I go, I don't know. I said, I'm telling you that because that's what you want to hear, right? He goes, no. I go, oh. So then the meeting ended, so I went back to my family doctor, and it is so silly, these questions that they ask people. Like, wow, like are you magically no disability in your life anymore? Like, people are just who they are.
Well, Brent, the government does have magical unicorns running around, so we should expect the land of fantasy to have certain
pink unicorns running around.
Pink unicorns running around. So poof.
But it's okay for one part because they do it all across the country apparently. That's I mean, so that it makes it equal apparently. Wow.
You get a pink unicorn, and you get a pink unicorn, and you get a pink unicorn.
Why? Because it equals out.
Everybody gets a pink unicorn.
Because it makes it fairness and equity in the system.
Yeah, there you
go. Share the disability around. I mean,
pink unicorns for everyone.
We can claw it off. Why? Because it's a great thing to do because every province does it.
That's right. Yeah, that's how they justify it. They say, well, it's not just us clawing it back; it's everybody else doing it too. So it must be right, It must be okay.
But what I'd like to say on that comment is that one province in Canada should take the leadership and say, no, this is how we're going to do it, and then the other ones now say, oh, okay, they're doing the right thing. Well, let's now change it.
Because we know that other provinces take note. So, let's have one of the provinces step forward and have the gumption to actually, say, you know what? Let's do the right thing for once and get rid of these clawbacks. They said they were going to in the 2017 election, like I've said before, everybody and their dog said, "Oh, for sure, we're going to get rid of the clawbacks." Everybody and their dog was saying it.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like, "Oh, now we have insomnia. We can't remember that we said that. Sorry."
or just give them back their bus pass. I mean, it's the most basic means of transportation.
But they got rid of the computer, Brent.
And magically, it's broken. It's broken.
It was destroyed by pink unicorns.
Copy paste and use the software. Put one disk in the disk drive, put the other one there, copy it over. But magically, is that seniors still have their bus pass?
The pink unicorns ate the computer. That's what it was.
There was a lady who got on the bus a couple days ago, yesterday in Victoria, British Columbia. They had free transit for the day. It was environmental day. It was clean air day. It was, I never used the transit yesterday. It was just really hot in here, so I just didn't go anywhere. But they had free transit. But even if they didn't, a couple of days ago, actually 3 days ago to be exact, I got on the bus. I had to do some shopping locally at a local store, pick up a few things. And there was a senior who got on the bus and was talking to the bus operator. And so this is interesting part, Lethabo and Neil, is so I heard from a distance, and my roommate Sonia, she was carrying a bag, and I was carrying a bag, and groceries, and the bus driver, the operator, he says, he says, yeah, I see you have a bus pass, you have a card, it's a different color. Yeah, I saw a couple people got on with a different color just before me. And he goes, that's right. How come they have the different color than me? Because it used to be the same color. Oh, well, because they have the option of having a bus pass or not having it, opting out and having $52 or having a bus pass. She goes, well, I just get one bus pass. I pay $45 a year. She said, it used to be that way. Why did the government change it? He goes, I don't know. I just drive a bus. She goes, that is nonsense, because I used to work for the government many years ago, and when that program was in place, why did they change it? I so badly wanted to run up there and go, because they broke the computer apparently.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow,
accidentally on purpose. That's what my I remember one of my I think it was my grandpa that used to always say, accidentally on purpose.
But it's only for 65-year plus that get those bus passes. Everyone else has to choose. So I don't know. That's one of my pet peeves. That just give everybody keep the 52. Just give them back their bus pass. If they use a bus, great. If they don't, they still got ways to get around with taxi or whatever they want with that other money or buy.
And I think, Lethabo, were you saying in South Africa that the is the transit system fully funded, or is it paid for by tickets too, like by bus fare, or is it more funded by the government?
How does that work in South Africa for you?
Well, okay, just to answer that, when it comes to our transit, it's more likely. Yeah, actually, it's more like actually I can say it's more likely funded by our our municipality.
Okay.
Municipalities, the taxes.
So that's one thing I can say on that. And,
so the fares are fairly cheap then? They're fairly reasonable?
Yeah, one thing I can say on that, because so that's one thing I can say on that, because usually I just want to show you our buses, how they look. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Technology.
So these are our so we use these ones.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we use these ones because why we use these ones? Because usually they have more capacity than the other ones.
Right.
Because they have I can say spacious interior when it comes to when you look at it as it is, like they do have like ramps where all wheelchairs they come in, because it's like when you enter in the door, like it's just lower, so you go in easily. Where else your traditional buses where you have stairs where you just climb and so it's I can say it's unprofessional for that. But
Yeah.
with these ones that are just researched right now, they are, I can
But there
say,
you go,
wheelchair
Lethabo.
friendly because I went on these
That
buses
one.
before. Say again?
It's the double decker.
Double-decker
Brent
bus.
No,
showing
it's
you
not
the
those
double
ones.
decker one. Yeah. Yeah, but also
Oh, okay.
also too we
No,
have
the-
we have the articulating buses. You should show a
Yeah.
picture of the articulating bus too, because
Oh,
those
yeah.
are cool. They have
okay.
kind of an accordion thing in the middle, and so there's like
Okay.
two pieces and it splits. Yeah.
So
So it's kinda cool. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I see
Oh.
those ones, but usually we did have those.
Yeah,
There
like
you
that,
go.
like that. You see how that is?
Exactly.
It's kind of split in the middle, like a jackknife a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
I want to. What is that picture now? Where is it now?
Yeah,
I want
like
to
that.
show- Oh, yeah, here it is. We did have these ones.
Yeah, those are long ones.
Yeah, we did
Oh,
have these ones,
that's
but
cool,
yeah.
they are discontinued.
Oh, okay.
They are discontinued because like they're used by other companies.
Mm.
But then you got shorter, just normal ones too. Just
Yeah,
the
normal
normal
bus.
size.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, like these ones. But that one, it's more. There's this other one that we had. It's called Arieng, which means let's go. So we had those ones, but they're operating in town, and we
Oh,
had
wow.
also the other one called Skytrain. So
Mhm.
those
Oh.
are mainly for going to train. When you want to go on a train, then you have to go on that bus.
Mhm.
Specifically when you go to Johannesburg or to Midrand or anywhere else.
Oh, neat. Yeah, yeah. So you got like a commuter train then.
Yeah, it's like that. Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. We have
Yeah.
that in the south coast on BC, Lower Mainland. They have a commuter train that it goes during rush hour only. One direction in the morning, one direction back in the evening.
Oh,
Yeah, it'd be nice to have it
Okay.
during the daytime, but unfortunately they have
And
to
then
share
then there's the
right.
Skytrain that's fully
Yes.
automated as well.
Yeah.
yeah.
No driver driving it.
No driver, it's just completely automated. Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, driving. Wow.
Operated by magnets. Operated by magnets.
Yeah.
Okay.
it was built back in 1986, and then they
Yeah.
expanded.
Just driving.
Yeah, it was Expo. Vancouver had the Expo in '86.
Expo '86. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I was down there every day that it was on.
Mm.
I seriously, I didn't miss one day. The only way I could afford to go down there, well, I mean, I had the yearly pass there, so that was good. But of course, you had to pay for food, and so the only cheap place you could go and get food all the time, we always go to the McBarge, you'd
And the McBarge
have that
yeah.
McBarge, which is the McDonald's on the barge there.
Yeah.
So you'd always fill up with hamburgers there.
Oh, okay.
At McDonald's there.
I remember lining up there, and I had a $5 bill, and I still had change that came back,
Yeah.
and I had a whole deal at the
Yeah.
time. Like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Now you're looking like $16 for.
But I mean, actually, that Expo
Yeah.
was very. You think about it though, like how transformative that whole Expo was, because they really. I mean, it was Jim Patterson that was the head of it, right? But I mean, he obviously sat down with everybody and he said, make sure that this Expo is very disability friendly, because I tell you, like every time I went on down there, I mean, they were like, if they saw me or any other disabled person waiting in line, they were like, go to the front of the line. And I was always getting to the front of the line of things, and I even got to go to like a lot of VIP things where they'd bring me into like a VIP tour. It was only like me and a friend that would go through all these pavilions just by myself, and then we'd sit down and have like a drink and cookies later and stuff like that. I mean, like I've never been treated like that in my life. So the only time I was treated like a VIP in my entire life was during the Expo '86, and it was amazing. It's like, why can't government treat all disabled people like VIPs? Because I mean, that was so transformative for me. Like I felt like you felt like you were important. Like, wow, these people care.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
No.
we're all citizens of each country. I mean, we should
Yeah.
all be treated fairly
True.
and and not singled out. Because I remember the old monorail there, Neil, and they had the little tiny little one that was put on there temporary. I thought that was so neat. Like they should,
Yeah.
they should have kept it, right?
I think they
It
should
was-
have kept it too. It was cool.
Yeah.
It was really
and
cool.
in looking back at the, I looked back and I was with a family friend, and we got the same thing. We got a whole yearly pass because he actually used to. His father drove these tugboats, so yeah, and then because we got a yearly pass, and so we could go on as much as rides. I mean, everything, all the rides too. And normally it was a fee. No, we could go on all the rides we wanted, and it was all inclued.
Yeah.
So I went on the Scream Machine. I remember the Scream Machine. I went
on that the last day. The last day of the fair. I was there, and I went on it on the last day. I've never been on a roller coaster ever, except for that one time, and it was amazing though. It was like because I always said I would never go on a roller coaster like the one at the PWD. I will never go on that because that thing scares the shit out of me. Right? I would never go on that thing. But I thought, if I'm going to go on a roller coaster, I'll go on the Scream Machine. And I did, and it was amazing. I just had this permanent smile, like permanent grin on my face the whole time. Yeah, it was great. It was great.
The PWD, I went on that one. And
you did go on that one, wow.
I was kicking and screaming. I was like, actually, you know what? You guys could go ahead of me. And the attendant there, actually, no, sir, you're there. I go, no, I'm not tall enough. And of course, they had a height restriction. And I go, meanwhile, I'm a young adult at the time, and
because
I was still under that threshold. They're like, you know what, it'll work. I go, you know what, change my mind. No, you're already here.
Oh wow! Because I don't know if our listeners know or if Lethabo knows, but the one at the PWD, it's all like an old wooden roller coaster, right? It's like when was it built? Like a long time ago. It's like all wood. And it's like so big, and it, like, just to look at it, like it's like no, no way, man. I'm not going on that.
High up there, you can see the whole park way up the top there. At first, you're climbing up an incline. You're just kind of going up on an angle, up and away, and then you get to the very top, and then you can see the whole park. And then all of a sudden, boom! You look down, you're like, oh, yeah. Make sure you don't have again before you go down, right?
Yeah. What goes up must come down, eh?
Well,
yeah, pretty much.
Well, for me, I haven't even enjoyed a roller coaster. I haven't been on a roller coaster before, but I've seen one guy. I was watching a YouTube video last night. Like seeing this guy. Like he just built a roller coaster rack, actually a rail, not a rack, a rail out of plywood and some stilts. Also, he also did what you call this? I think it's a chair or something like that. So he did it out of plywood, plus he added some pure leather. Like I think it was a red leather if I remember correctly. The time when I saw that, I was like, this guy, how can he build something out of wood, and then when it rains, what's going to happen? Because all the mechanisms are going to be affected. So because it's because of like it uses electricity and all that stuff. So I was just even thinking about that.
Yeah.
As long as it wasn't built out of Lego.
You know what my dad my dad did a few times when we were like really young, and it used to snow a lot in the winter. He would take snow and start fashioning like a toboggan run or whatever, or what do you want to say, like a luge run. And he would build it from the roof, and he would fashion this thing from the roof, and all the way down to into the yard, and like he would all freeze it up, and it was all this like the solid block of ice, and it would from the roof, and he'd all the way down to the yard. It was really cool. Yeah, really, really cool.
Yeah, we had this one. It was a really cold winter one time, and my mom had kind of a slope in her yard. It was like a little hill, and so we would just compact all down all the ice there, and just go right down these little crazy carpets, and then you'd slide right down. And then I had it set were a little ramp of ice, and my mom got so mad because she said, "What are you doing?" And so I kept pouring water there, and it would freeze up, and it kept compounding it up. So I built up like a little ramp right up to the front door of the house, and make the channels go so that I'd open up the front door, go right down that way. And I thought, oh geez, Brent, I hope that this works, because otherwise I'm gonna hit the wall. No, right into the door, right inside. Yeah. All the fun time. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was great. And
sorry about that, guys. It was just yeah, I was just answering
the lived experience, right? It's all about different times in life, and you looked at all the experiences of what all the enjoyments that as a disabled person that you can do, but enjoy different things. And Neil, like you made a good point on that, is like as a VIP, like a very important person, like I mean, as a being told that, hey, let's go to the front of the line. I mean, of being just kind of respected of who you are, and that kind of goes for you. Same thing with Lethabo. Like, it doesn't matter who it is in the world. Like, just because a person has a disability, you shouldn't be singled out at any time, or thinking, oh, they're just third-class citizens, or what I mean. Like, just everybody should be treated fairly, and I mean, given the proper resources, everything that they need, just like everybody else. There's nothing different. No fault of a person's of them. I mean, they're born with it. They can develop a disability, and they're just a person. I mean, nothing changes. Like, and recognizing who the person is. And I mean, everybody, their life shines. It shines of who they are, their personality. It brings out all the awesome things of who they are. And that's what I loved about, having you on as the guest, part 2 today, and anybody else joining on, like, talk about your life. Let's hear your stories. And like, so growing up, Lethabo, I know we didn't cover this last time, but growing up, like, how did you feel of, like, in your community? Like, were you treated fairly, or like were you singled out because, oh wow, Lethabo's got a disability? Were you treated differently, or were you just accepted for who you were or who you are?
Just to answer on that,
I mean, do the best you can with that. I mean, if you don't feel comfortable,
well,
okay.
What I can say is, as people, sometimes people, they lack knowledge, because when a person has a disability, it becomes a problem, and they don't understand that when this person has a disability, it means that person, his body or her body, it has a deformity or something like that, So usually I would say that when a person has a deformity, then you have to understand that this person has a disability. It's either in the inner part of his body or her body, or outside, which is physically or non-physically. But people sometimes, they don't understand, So, well, for me it was different, because for me it was I can say it was more of being singled out, just not understanding the dynamics of being blind or visually impaired, because at the time technology was not there. Like, now we can use internet to connect with other people from around the world, but before then, you would use your home's telephone, to connect with people. But now, at least now, people, they starting to show some interest when it comes to people with disabilities. But before, I can say back then, they wouldn't even understand. They would just say this person is bewitched or whatsoever. And people, black people here in South Africa, actually in Africa, they like to say stuff that are not even considered to be there. So sometimes they just don't understand, or they don't have enough knowledge about certain stuff. Because now, since we have a lot of how can I put this? Like, a lot of like, organizations. Obviously, that's when, obviously, they start to understand that they have to understand like how a person living with a disability, how how does this disability affect them or impact them in their lives, because employment, it's rife this time around, because even here in South Africa, a lot of people, they don't get jobs. They resort to other things like starting a business. you know Even because, lucky for me, I'm in the entertainment industry, so just to get myself there, I had to humble myself when it comes to certain stuff, because back then it was something that I've never usually did or never exposed myself to.
Mhm. Yeah, and it's all about the acceptance of what you go through, and what governments and organizations and just people in general of it, just accepting a person for who they are and understanding of what you go through.
True.
And it's so important to just take the person at face value, like of their disability, of just listening and understanding of what they're going through, and just being there as the voice of the ear of listening. And it's all about communication, right?
Yeah.
I'm on Strata Council here. I'm the vice president this year, and I always have interruptions with crews coming and stuff like that, so I apologize. But what I was going to say is, we were talking about VIP, and it's not to say that, that I'm expecting, or anybody should expect, like this preferential treatment all the time, but it really is amazing if you have this kind of default attitude that, you're going to treat people with respect. You're going to treat them like they actually matter. You're gonna go like a little bit of a step above.
True.
Because it really was an amazing thing to, like, every time I went to that fair, I just felt like a million bucks all the time. I was like, wow, somebody really is plugged in, and they really are caring about me, and like making sure I have a really good experience. I mean, and I don't think it would. Everything always comes down to money with the government, right? But I mean, we talked before about, wouldn't it be great if the government provincial government that is, would come up with a ministry that's just devoted to like a ministry of disabilities.
Oh, with disabilities,
that would transform the whole thing, I think, because
it was that way temporary, only for a couple of years, I think it was.
But that would be a really big sign of respect to say, you know what, people with disabilities matter, and we're gonna treat them a little bit like VIPs, like we're gonna go up a little bit above and beyond, and show them that we care, and I just think that would really make a difference.
Because right now they just basically throw it all. It's kind of like my spaghetti episode that I talked about a lot. Right now they're just throwing it all into one pot, right? And you can't have one policy for all income assistance people with disabilities, because there's a lot of people that have disabilities right now that are actually waiting for applications to be processed, and meanwhile they're disabled, but they're actually told that, you got to go and do a job search. You got to go and prove that these are the employers that you applied at. What are their phone numbers? What are their addresses? I mean, why are you not looking for work? I mean, like, all these harsh questions. Why aren't you? And it's like, well, the person is maybe they're not able to do certain types of work, or maybe they can't work, and then you're penalized if you don't show proof. Then they say, oh, well, you don't get your income assistance check because you're not showing being actively looking for work. And I think the system is a systemic issue. I don't know what it's like in other countries, but I'm sure there's a lot of parallel with how our system in Canada is, and it can change. Like, it's treating people with disabilities with, like you mentioned, Neil, with more respect and dignity. Like, and that the key I use a lot is the word dignity. It's like dignity is about respect. And when I was young, my mom used to always say to me, Brent, the neighbor kid down the road, he'd be like, oh, I want to play with the truck, and I go, no, this is my truck, that's her truck, and it was like share alike. It's like do unto others as you want done unto you, and that was always sunk into me that way. My mom used to over and over say that, do unto others as you want done unto you. And as I grew older, I realized like there was a systemic issue. I didn't know anything about how everything worked. So like fast forward, my mom she had the same worker I did, and they actually handled the senior supplements. And I sat down and I've told the story before, but it's ironic is that the same worker handled the disability and income assistance clients also, right? Yeah. And what it was is like, my mom wanted to go away on a holiday. She really wanted to go and see a family friend who had moved. She had moved back east, and I knew her son. I used to babysit her son. He'd come over, and him and I would just play video games, this and that. I mean, hey, I'm supposed to be babysitting, but him and I really got along really well. Like, he was in elementary, I was in high school, but as it came on, he was now in grade 8, and I was in senior classes in high school. But him and I, we still, we stayed in touch. Then he moved. So my mom decided that, hey, we want to take a voyage out to go and visit them back east in the Maritimes. So the worker said, you need to ask permission. My mom goes, ask permission for what? I'm going. Well, no, Brent needs to ask permission. It's okay for you. He needs to say that, yeah, he wants to go. She goes, I'm saying he's going, so we're going.
Yeah.
Right to the worker, and my mom goes, how is it any different? What, just because he has a disability, he has to...
It shouldn't be.
So I just said, no, we're going. And she goes, fine.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is about jurisdictional stuff. It's like saying about here's the pink unicorns again. It's like, well, other provinces are doing it. And this is how a worker explained to me. Well, other jurisdictions in the country have the same criteria in place where you need to ask permission to go. And I remember I was so embarrassed, you guys, anyone listening, where it was, my mom goes, okay, so if Brent needs to go to the washroom, does he say, can I please go to the washroom, or can he just go and use the washroom? Just go and use the washroom.
Yeah.
It's the same, it was the same mentality. And my mom she was very vocal. She says to the worker, she said, shit, or get off the pot. And I thought, oh my God, like, what are you doing?
Well, you're just talking about jurisdiction here, Brent, and I mean that's an argument that I use all the time in the emails about the clawbacks, is because part of like a huge part of my survivor's pension now is actually federal, so it's the federal government. I mean, there's part of it is the private pension that my wife got from the school district. But most of it is actually a federal pension that the federal government itself has said, you know what, as a widower, you deserve this. So it's the federal government that said I deserve it, and then it's the provincial government, for some reason they can veto, they can step in and veto federal power that says, you know what, you deserve this, and the provincial government can say no, he doesn't deserve it, and claw it back. And it's like, so who has the jurisdictional power? Because apparently the federal government says I deserve it, and then the province says no, And like, how does that make sense? It doesn't.
There was something that was on a news article recently. There was a disabled person who basically lost their home, and they lost their employment. They lost their place because they were getting rent evicted. Now basically proved that no family member was actually moving into the place, but it was one of these things that are going on across the country, right? They're finding ways of flipping places over. But so now the person needs to raise money. So they're saying, oh well, the employment was going to get deducted off through EI because the worker said, oh, well, you need to now go in and see if you qualify for EI benefits. Well, now they take it off, but the person's allowed to go and do a GoFundMe and it's not going to get clawed off them. Are you kidding me? Like how is these? It's the same thing. It's like jurisdictional stuff. It's just wrong.
The whole system is set up as like a big charity. It's like the government's giving us charity, and so therefore, if you have a GoFundMe, that's charity too. So, let's everybody throw charity. It's like and the food banks are charity. So charities are legit, but nothing else. Nothing else is like everything else is a pink unicorn. But charities rule the day.
Well, it's like food banks. It works for some people in communities, and I remember there was a comment that was brought for us to discuss on the show. And Lethabo, like I wanted your view on the about food banks because like in certain communities it's great. It works. Like they're small, independent little companies, and they're not sponsored. They're not subsidized by government. They're just a small little company. They want to try and do good for a community. They want to put fresh food out there, like sandwiches, soups, you name it. And it works great. But then you got these bigger companies and they're subsidized by government. They're big corporations and they got handouts saying, here, I want to provide it. I want to provide to people because the government then says, oh, hey, they're providing. We don't have to do anything. But it's not all fresh food. People should get to choose what works best for them. Now, I know that some people are going to say, Brent, how can you talk about that stuff? But the fact is that there are small companies that do good. But food banks were never meant as a permanent fixture in our society.
They were meant to be a temporary fix during wartime.
Yes, exactly.
Wartime only, right?
There were soup kitchens originally that were set up, and then it was food banks. But what's your view? I don't want to get in the hot seat here, but like, what's your view of food banks? Like, I mean, do you think that they're good, like maybe small ones versus big corporations?
This will be like, what is that? Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? You can give.
Who wants to be a millionaire?
You can get a lifeline. Who's going to be your lifeline?
Lethabo, who wants to be a millionaire? So I guess the question I have is,
okay, well, just to answer you guys,
lifeline question,
food banks. So I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have heard about Gift of the Givers, right?
Gift of the Givers?
So Gift of the Givers?
Yeah. That's the I can say it's a company that has been running here in South Africa for quite some time, doing some charity work. Like I can say delivering assistant aids to other countries, and even here in South Africa, they've done quite a lot. So I can say they're big. But when it comes to like small organizations, I know one here where I live, which I'm a part of. It's been a while since I haven't been there, but I know I have been helping them. I think in terms of when it comes to when they were doing some food handouts, if I remember correctly. There was the beginning of this year when I went there. I went there just to spend a day. All of a sudden, they just called me like, "Look, there's a big truck there. It has containers full of food inside." I was like, what? And it was like big containers, black ones, and they were like heavy, you know. So when it comes to that, obviously they said no, we have to give these kids food, and like not only kids but the whole community. We had to give them food, and for school children, they had to They had to help them with necessities like iron their school uniform, cover their school books. What's the other one? Clean their school shoes, like put on some black polish just to make them clean and shiny and all that stuff. So that's the one thing that I remember. And last year, there was this other one that I also that I can recall. they also made, yeah, they also organized in, if I remember correctly, it was a men's conference, if I remember. Then they told me like, okay, you have to come. All of a sudden, that day before that day, actually it was a Saturday. There was like a Christmas party where they said, okay, fine, can you help us out with setting up the gazebo? I was like, whoa, guys, this is huge. Okay, fine, I helped them out. Then I had to help them out with the other stuff like setting up the swimming pool, not the ordinary swimming pool where you just pump it with hot air and all that stuff. There was this other one where you have to assemble it
Oh,
with
okay.
like, yeah, you have to assemble the whole thing. But the thing is, I didn't have any idea how to do that, you know?
Right.
So there's this other guy, he came to me. I can say he's a colleague of mine as well. His name is Lewis. So he came to me, say, like, look, bruh, like in my language, he was like, okay, riraso, riradia. I was like, okay, fine. You know, like we're doing like this and this and this and this. Okay, fine. Then he says, okay, try just, let's try and assemble this. I was like, okay, fine. I mean, I didn't have any idea how to do it because it was the first time doing that. But the thing is, the main thing that attracted me to be in that organization is that I have passion of helping other people, because that's my other passion, because I'm passionate when it comes to helping people because
Yeah.
I mean, I've never had a chance before to be in different organizations, you know, because being in different organizations, you spread your wings. Where else you can be recognized of, okay, where you have been, where you still have to go, and all that stuff. For me, it was something that I had to just normally do, because it was something that I have to do, and just to keep my mind off other things, because it's just that this month, actually it's just the beginning of this month, but maybe next week I'll be able to go and pay them a visit because I haven't been there since last month. Because usually every month I go there and just check them, just to visit them just for a bit because they have a preschool there. When I'm sitting there, just playing with the kids, like small kids, also they'll just come and jump on me. They would call me Malome, man, Malome. And Malome, actually, for
Yeah.
some of you guys who doesn't know, Malome, it's an uncle.
Oh,
Because they
nice.
call me an uncle.
Oh.
Okay, that's nice. Yeah, that's cool.
Ah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned the word passion, that you're
Yeah.
passionate about that, and,
Oh,
and
sure.
that's a big word, and it's something that
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah.
it's something that I would always key on too. Like when I did I've talked about this a lot. I helped out with the employment
Yeah.
project for people with disabilities with the Sam Sullivan Foundation, and one of my questions was like, what are you passionate about? I would always say, like, if the world was your oyster and you had there was no restrictions, you had no disability, there was nothing tying you down, like, what are you passionate about? What would you most like to do? What most likely interests you? And the first response that you would usually get is like, wow, nobody's asked me that question before, ever. you know? And I mean, that was the typical response. That was the first response that I would get from all these people with disabilities. Most people with disabilities have never been asked the question of, what are you passionate about? What would you like to do? And
Yeah,
like, nobody has asked me that question before. They say to me.
Because there was a time, and this going back when I was in college, we had to do videographies. They call it videographies of ourselves and talk about ourselves, about lived experience in life, what we've gone through, what type of disabilities that you have, and we just and we just have to be talking from our heart of who we are, and just pretending that we're just kind of looking in the mirror, but we were being recorded, and we got to be graded by our classmates, and they got to then look at it and pick away at the video, and there was no saying, well, there was right or wrong way, but basically saying, well, maybe you could have said it this way, Brent, or you could have said it this way. And it was building up our self-esteem. It was basically what it was all about. And while I was going through that, Lethabo, is that the college felt that I should maybe go through an assessment to see where I'm at, what my strengths are. So while I'm going through that, I am seeing a doctor who then put me through. They put me through an assessment program just to see where I'm at, what my strengths, what would I like to do. And what it came down to is exactly what you just mentioned, Neil. It's what would my passion, like what would you like to do, Brent? And it was actually we were going through this in our class at the time, so it actually corresponded with it. And it was about PR, public relations, about bringing people together. And I didn't know anything about all that. I said, well, I don't know how to do that. Like, and this one doctor, as a conclusion, said about being a people person, being there for people, being an ear for people to talk to, maybe a big ear, being there. And I didn't know at the time, like, how do I do that? How do I incorporate this? And they give you down a whole bunch of different type of occupations or things that you would be good at doing.
Yeah.
One was a radio talk show host. One was a communication speaker of big events, bringing events and people together.
It reminds me. It reminds me when you came to me about you said, I want you to be the editor and producer of my show, Neil. This was way back. Was it January of 2020, right?
It was actually end of December.
End of December. So it was December of 2019. That's right. When you first approached me, and you're like, I would like you to be the editor and producer of my show, and I'm like, okay, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know how to do that. But hey, let's give it a shot. And we did. We just been flying by the seat of our pants ever since, kind of thing. So it's been fun.
Oh yeah, no, and about bringing people together, right? And it's just talking because I find that even people in my building, there's a lady who's in a mobility scooter, same as what you have, Neil, and I don't see her very often. I don't know. Like I know she apparently still lives in the building, but and it's like having her voice carry forward. And I see a couple of people at the bus stop, same thing, and I'm hoping that they're going to reach out to us to get us on, have them come on the show, because the same thing about talking about lived experience. And because what I'm hearing from a couple people in my community is they feel that the government doesn't care. That's what they told me. The government doesn't care about listening to lived experience because they have their own narrative. They said there was a lady who lives in the same company building who I rent from, but it's managed under different agents. So I've run into her a few times, and she just wants to have a safe place to live. She just wants to have enough income to basically get by. They want her to go into a community living scenario, like a living situation. She doesn't want that. She does not want that. She wants to have her own independence. So it comes down to listening to lived experience. What is it the person wants? Do they want to have cheaper rent? Yeah, I mean, who doesn't, right? Okay, so how do we work with it? Do you say, okay, well, in order to have cheaper rent in British Columbia, now I can't speak for other provinces because I don't know how the system works, but I'm guessing there's probably pink unicorns across, it's probably equalized, right? They know it's probably equalized across anyway. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that listen to the lived experience of what the person's asking. They want cheaper rent. As we know, rents across this country and globally, they've gone up and up and up. So there's a long waiting list to get into subsidized housing. Now, is it that people want subsidized housing, like under government umbrella housing? No, they just want enough money to basically make the choice that they need for themselves. Now, I'm not saying that, speaking for people saying, no, Brent, I want to be under the government umbrella housing. Some people do, some people don't. Mm-hmm. What I'm hearing is that people want to have enough money to pay the market rent. They're comfortable in the private sector where they live, And I live in the private sector, and I'll I throw it right out there, I'll let people know. I have a good landlord, but she knows we want to move. She knows we want to move to the community that I grew up in, that I'm familiar with. Sonia wants to move there too. Her grandma and grandpa and her mom and dad used to go to the community. So same community I grew up in, and she is familiar with it. Why? Because transit's there, really good transit. Everything's walkable, just to get to all your amenities, grocery stores, community center. You've got a gym there, you've got a rec rooms, you've got a walking area. The weather gets bad, you can go in a track area. But
that's important. Yeah, that's important to notice. I mean, I think on your last video where you talked about wanting to move back to Langley, somebody said, well, I would like to move to Beverly Hills too, you know, and it's
right.
like, well, you know, and that was kind of a dismissive comment because, you know, it's like Langley City is not Beverly Hills. You know, you're not asking for a big ritzy apartment. You're asking for basic accommodation, basic living. You know, like nothing. We're not talking Beverly Hills level of living. You know?
Luxury, like a red carpet. Roll out the red carpet because here comes Brent. Here's the red carpet.
I mean, there should be basic housing available in every community. I mean, Langley used to be nobody used to want to live in Langley because it was so far out, right?
It was so rural, you know. And I at one time when I lived there growing up, we had no public transit. We had no transit.
All they had was horses out there. That's it.
Well, it almost that way, you know. Or you know, I'd get on my bicycle, and people are like, "What? You can ride a bike?" I can ride a bike. I'm fortunate where my vision's at a level where I can still ride a bike. I need my corrective lenses on in order to do that, but I'm able to keep balance where I can ride my bike. And I used to love riding my bike. I miss riding my bike. And people are like, well, I have some people in the community. Well, go and buy a bike, Brent. I can't afford to buy a bike. But you know, they got e-bikes out now. They got these new ones, but there's a program that apparently was so overwhelmed that there was had to stop the program temporarily. But getting back to community, the community spirit of things, being in a community that you want to be in, and the government slogan now is be in the community that you love, be in the community that you want to be in. We were in the community that we wanted to be, but we had to move, Lethabo. Like we had to move to the capital city of the province here, where traditionally people say it was so expensive. How could you afford to live in a capital region? Well, it wasn't me who found the housing. It was Sonia who found the housing. And it was cheaper, much cheaper than what we were paying. So the government said, okay, we'll move you because it's substantially reduced housing. Now, if we want to move back to the community, the housing costs are now higher. So now it's not substantially reduced; it's substantially increased. So they won't pay for that housing. I got to advocate to get them to change that, because I think that if people want to be where they want to, they want to live where they want to live, they should be able to have a basic means in there for a moving cost, where they could actually say, okay, this is where I want to be. Okay, so kind of for the viewers and like listeners that are kind of wondering, okay, well, why did you move? Well, we were given a subsidy during COVID times, and it was from the provincial government. Some provinces, unfortunately, they didn't even get that, and it was kind of like, well, you guys get this, but we don't get that amount. How come your government give like $300? We didn't get nothing. We got $25 or $50. Well, unfortunately, that was just the way it went. Like the premier at the time gave the disabled citizens of the province a supplement of $300, and every 3 months they reviewed it. And I had a previous minister who was on my show as a guest, Lethabo, that he talked about it, that it made change, it made positive impact on people's lives. It wasn't supposed to be as a permanent measure. I get that. However, what I do get is that it made change, made positive impact in people's lives. Their decision making have improved their well-being. They could buy healthy food. They can have their accommodation. And the government then realized, hey, this is working for people. But for some reason, they just took it away. but they gave back 175 of it. And then fast forward years, February 28th of this year of 2023, they're going to give back 125 of it, but it takes effect July 19th of this year.
Yeah.
So, but because of that, I had to move. I had media ask me, what would happen if they took the money away? I go, the place I'm living in right now, I would have to move. I couldn't afford that high rent. So I had to make the awkward decision of leaving the community that I loved, that I wanted to be in, to move to a community that, that I'm in. I'm not saying that I don't like the community that I'm in. It's beautiful here. The weather is phenomenal. Like, they don't get as much rain. They don't get as much bad weather, except the last 2 years. We've had the record snowfall. Go figure. I brought it with me. But, fast forward going forward is that, I want to be back in the community I want to be in, but the housing is too expensive. So how do we work with it? Do we do rent geared to income? Do we increase people's income so they can afford the high market rent? Or do you go on a long waiting list, over a 10-year waiting list to get into subsidized housing? But here's the thing, in order to get that subsidized housing, you can't go for market rent and say, I want to have cheaper rent, go into subsidized housing. You've got to be homeless first, or your building has to be sold, condemned, or rent evicted. You got to have no housing.
Yeah.
So it's a systemic issue, and I believe that the government has this opportunity to work with the individual and say, this is what we can do for you. Like, listen to what these suggestions are, and really, and put it into an action plan. Let's get this done and make life better for Canadians with disabilities across Canada and also around the world. Like, government's listening to us around the world. Listen to your citizens. Yeah. Listen to what their needs are, and compile this, and I'm sure we can make this a better world. And like Lethabo, like,
we are the world.
We are the children.
We are the ones who make a
better place for you and me. Hey, we should make our new revision of it. Get a whole
karaoke time with Brent.
Yeah. That's a new one, right? Lethabo, I want to get you on again. I'll get Neil to schedule you in. We're going to do a part 3.
And part 3 will start with karaoke.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, there we are.
I guess so, but I will hear from you guys.
We'll be dancing the night away.
I'll hear from Neil when it comes to part 3.
What's that?
Yeah.
Part 3?
No, I'm saying we'll hear from you when it comes to part 3.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I'm hearing Brent.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a karaoke time with Lethabo.
New segment.
The new segment.
Yeah. You know how they have what is it, the carpool karaoke? You've seen that.
Yeah.
We can do. We can do our own style of karaoke. Yeah. We could just tune up the theme song of it. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Come up with some lyrics for that song.
Yeah. We are the world.
Legislated poverty.
Let's end legislated poverty. Why? Because it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Treat with respect and dignity.
No more pink unicorns running around.
Pink unicorns. And once upon a time, we had a pink unicorn. A unicorn. Once upon a time, we had a pink unicorn. And skip, poof. Now you see it. Now you don't.
Oh, this is why people. This is why people tune in, right? They tune in to hear us sing the songs.
Yeah.
At the same time, we make it serious, but we make it fun, right? I mean, people say, well, how can you mock these things? Because they're so silly. These policies, they affect people's lives. They're so silly. They don't need to be there.
There's the word ridiculous,
Yeah. Then
And
there's
and the root word of ridiculous is ridicule. The reason why
Ridiculed, yeah.
things are ridiculous is because they open themselves up to ridicule, right? And
Yeah.
and I mean, and legislative poverty is one of them, you know. And so that's why I always say, like, legislative poverty is ridiculous. You know, clawing somebody's survivor's pension away is ridiculous, right?
Well, and the other one too is like if you keep doing the same thing over and over and over and expect the same result,
Yeah.
it doesn't change anything.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, and it's like what the one guest we had on talked about that. If you keep doing the same thing over and over and expect the same results, and people tell you, like with lived experience, this is not working.
Resistance is futile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The system is futile. Abracadabra kaboof. Now, there's a pink unicorn there and there. And, you know, and in order to keep up with things, you need to subscribe.
That's right.
Subscribe to Neil's YouTube channel. Subscribe, click, share.
Yeah.
Tweet it out if you want to.
Love us, please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, with ending comments from the segment, I'm going to go over to you, Lethabo, first, and then I'll go over to Neil, and I'll have my final comments just for today's segment, and we're going to have you back as a third segment and maybe fourth. Well, we'll go first anyway.
Karaoke time with Lethabo.
Sorry, Lethabo.
Comment. Well, for my particular comments, I would say that I just want to thank you guys, you know, for letting me back in for the second round, since because obviously I was late I was late because of the what you call this now, the job interview that I had on Zoom, because it started around 5, but it took a bit longer. But I just wanna thank you once again, you know, for letting me, or just I can say maybe just for booking me into your show, and
we're just hanging out. It's just kind of like we're all hanging out in a basement, right?
Yeah.
I can see it.
It's a lot cooler.
So I just thank you guys for that, you know, because it's been quite a discussion from our first episode. I think it was episode 16 that I remember. So now, obviously, now it's episode 24.
24, yeah.
As I checked on my phone. So, so yeah, I just want to thank you guys quite a lot. You know, I mean, it was such a hot discussion and fun moments as well at the same time. You know, because I haven't been in any other podcast ever. I have never ever been in another podcast. So,
well, this is always fun.
Yeah, it's always it's always a pleasure. I mean, having you come on. I mean, this is the first podcast for you to be on, and it's always nice to hear your views on what you're going through, your lived experience, what you have to suggest to other people going forward too. And I mean, we'll have more of these discussions for sure going forward with you. But what if you had anything to say right now, what would you suggest or like to say to other listeners or viewers watching or listening to it right now? How to have an impact on their life? Like what would you like to say? What would you like to say to them?
Well, what I can say is, if you have a passion, go for it. Mm-hmm. If you have a talent, do it. And if you love your passion, just don't give up on it. Just push till you get whatever you are desired to do. Whether it could be in the entertainment industry or whatever it could be, but just be passionate in what you do and don't give up. Because when you give up, you're just going to fail, but not in a miserable way, but you're going to be successful again when you push yourself. Just when you fall, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, carry on with your life.
That's good.
We can make a better place for you and me. We are the
But it is true, though. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? I mean, we've always talked about the systemic, the systemic legislated poverty that is the social assistance system. And
true.
If you build it that way, to be discriminatory and to be systemically, to bring people down and to suppress people, that's what you end up getting, right? I mean, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So what I would say to government is, if you want people to be better, build a better system where you're not suppressing people, you're not legislating them.
That's true.
And then you'll get the self-fulfilling prophecy of a better system, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all these surveys that the government does too, telling them what they already know.
Yeah.
These town hall meetings, I mean, they're great. I mean, sure, talk about lived experience, but they already know the answer.
Yeah.
I remember going to these town hall meetings and a previous minister that I had on, and I always love having him on. And it's like over time, doesn't matter who's in government, you hear that frustration because they want to see it change. Like the person wants to. It's whatever's stopping government from changing a policy. Like the root of the problem needs to be changed, right? So it's not the person that's actually controlling that policy. It's like, what is the root of the problem, right? The root of the problem needs to be changed. So whoever's now administrating it can actually be happy. They can be excited, saying, "Hey, I'm now in charge of this ministry, and I'm doing the best I can to keep things going," rather than fighting with the system, because the system will allow that person to change, doing the best they can with it. And I've heard this situation echo so many times with different ministers over time. They get burnt out. They get frustrated because the system just won't let them change, or he or she won't let them change what they want to see changed. And they know over time it does need to change. And listening to lived experience from you and me and Neo and everybody else, it can change. The systems can change around the world. It's a better place for you and me.
Yeah,
because we are the world.
I just want to
we need to get our lighters out, do the lighter thing, and we are the world.
We are the world.
We are the children. Get our lighters,
Placed for you and me. Yeah. It was funny if we actually did a remaster of it and having a whole
because I wanted to ask something.
Sure.
Like in Canada, like do you I can say, like, do you guys like have like legislative events when it comes to like disability sectors?
When it comes to what? I didn't catch the last thing. You kind of cut out there.
No, I'm actually okay. Let me just rephrase the question. I was saying, in Canada, like, do you guys have legislative events when it comes to disability sectors, or public speaking, or let me say public hearing events?
Oh, like where we can stand up in front of the government and stuff. You mean? Is that?
Yeah, like that.
Not a whole lot of that.
There's a lot of it. You can make meetings. You could speak on a committee if you're invited to, or you tell them that you want to, rather than being invited. Say, no, I want to. Or you can do rallies. You can do rallies, and you can peacefully rally, standing up for what you believe in your human rights are. But I always encourage people to. I encourage people to demonstrate their what their rights are in a peaceful way, because there's ways of peacefully rallying. I mean, you see the marching in the streets and everything else blocking off intersections. And if it's already prearranged in communities, the authorities will escort you along if they know that it's a peaceful demonstration. I've seen it done. Like even in Victoria here, they've actually had peaceful rallies, and then they'll go along and nothing goes wrong. But then there's other times, unfortunately, there's going to people that are going to want to hijack these situations and have their narrative of going, well, just accept it for what it is. Just, take it for what it is. I'm like, well, if that's the case, then it becomes status quo, right? And I find that strong, because if status quo is not working, right? So we have to stand up, and how do we change the way that the systems are going now? It's from voices like you, Lethabo, like everybody, and saying, how can we make things better?
And I was going to make this will be my last comment that I'll make, is that's one of the big reasons why you created the show you did, is because if you can't always go to the politicians, like you yourself, like invite them onto a show like this, right? Yeah. I mean, you can't always go to the politicians, so have the politicians come to you. And this is why we have this show, is to have these kind of open discussions with politicians, but also people like Lethabo, where you have the lived experience. You're bringing conversations to, and airing them out. And whether it's lived experience from just anybody like Lethabo or from politicians, it all matters. It's all just bringing conversations forward, right? Having a discussion.
And hearing from other previous guests too. I mean, the frustrations that they saw within the system, and like the system would let them make changes, or opportunities of saying yes, like it's a systemic issue. Recognizing that yes, things need to change, and going forward, with respect to within our province, Neil, is the minister now recognizes that yes, during different meetings, I've heard too, is that they recognize that the system's been broken for decades, and so they recognize that yes, there's a problem. So hearing voices going forward of consultations, which is great, but we need to have action plans to now let's modernize things. We can do it. I know we can do it. Let's just get it done. And then remember what's that movie? Let's do it. Just do it. Just do it. Yeah. Right? And it's all based on what are the voices going forward and what we say we need to change, because we can make things like I say again, a better place for you.
And on that note, let's get out of here.
Okay, so everybody subscribe to Neil's YouTube channel. Click, like, share. Exactly. Share it out there. Yep. So I just want to thank you very much, Lethabo, and we're going to reach out to you, and we'll have you scheduled in for part 3 coming up soon. And for everybody else, I want to thank everybody for listening today to Canadians with Disabilities and their Allies. I'm the host, Brent Frain, and I enjoy everybody's input on the show. So if you'd like to come on as a guest onto the show, reach out, send a direct message to Neil or myself, and we can arrange to get you scheduled in.
Or so our people.
For everybody, like you want to come on, if you're a politician, you're just or if you're if you have a family member who has a disability, definitely reach out. So these are the days that are really preferred: Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. There could be an exception on maybe a Sunday, but we're really focusing on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays.
Any day is open, but we prefer the Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday and Friday.
And if you can only do you'll say, well, how long am I going to be allowed on? So I'm just going to quickly, before we end the segment, as long as up to 2 hours maximum, okay. But if you can only do a half hour, you can only do 15 minutes or a half hour, that's fine too. And so if that's the case, and if I got 4 people in one day, and it's only a 15-minute segment in the morning, half hour, we can schedule people. We can get you all lined up. So if you want to,
here's another song, 4 hugs a day. That's the minimum. 4 hugs a day.
$4 a day.
Not the maximum.
That's not the maximum, and that's not the minimum. That's just whatever works. You and me. So, yeah, and with all that note is just reach out. Like, in all seriousness, everybody, if you want to come on, reach out. We can make a program work for you and me. Thanks, everyone.
Okay, bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.